Economy is such a basic skill in Counter-Strike that I wouldn't even call it a skill. If you're not following the basic rules of economy, you're essentially shooting yourself in the foot and you're giving yourself a worse chance than you would have otherwise if you followed the rules properly. So everyone obviously knows how the economy works at a basic level. Like you get money for losing, you get money for winning, money for kills and all that. You don't need to memorize any of that stuff. And economy is extremely important when you're thinking about the game overall, obviously, because it changes how your team is going to play the round and it changes how the other team is going to play the round. If you learn the economy, you can tell your team that the other team has to have deagles this round, or they have to have USPs, or they can buy an op, all that stuff. And the general strategy of economy is you want to have as many full gun rounds as possible, okay? And by full gun rounds, I mean full AK or full M4 with maybe an op plus all 4 nades, kit, and head armor. And so if you go into every single round thinking that you're trying to get a full buy on the next round or this round, it's going to be much more simple than thinking, oh, I don't really know what to buy. I don't know what I'm doing. You're going to have this constant rule in your head that you want to maximize the amount of full buys. And so obviously if you win every single round with 5 alive, you're going to have a full buy every single round, but that's not how Counter-Strike works. So this is probably the most common CT situation you're going to find yourself in, where most people on your team have around $2,000 and you're on double loss. And so what this means is that obviously this round you can't get a full buy. But if we think about what the threshold is for how little money I can have on this round and then have a full buy on the next round, it's right around $2,000. So it's pretty easy to remember that you just need $2,000 when you're on double loss. You can just think of 2 and 2. And then on the next round, most people on this team, if they stay above $2,000, they're going to have somewhere near $4,400 on the next round. And that's what you're looking to do. And you do this because let's say you force bot on this round with double loss. A force buy round is a very low percentage chance round win. It's maybe 20, 30% win rate versus gun rounds, which are around 50% and really map dependent on what side is going to be in the advantage. But obviously you don't have to think about that. So again, if you force bot on this round, you're giving yourself 1 low percentage win round. And then the next round you have a shitty buy 2. So you're going to have 2 low percentage win rounds versus just having 1 if you saved here and then having a good round on the next round. Again, we want to be maximizing the amount of good chance rounds and not trolling ourselves. So this is going to make more sense if I compare 2 different games with 2 different buying strategies. So if you're buying wrong versus if you're buying correctly. And this is kind of general. Once you realize the pattern of buying on CT side, it's going to be really easy to do it in your game. So, okay, so here's the pistol round. And so when you buy on pistol, you usually buy armor down to like $100 to $0. So I'm just going to say that you have about $100 here. And like what I said before, if you win every single round, there's not really much to think about economy-wise, right? So let's say we lose the first pistol. Okay, so on CT side, when you lose the first pistol, you're going to be given 1,900. So starting the next round, you're going to be around 2,000. Okay, then if we check in on our loss bonus in game, we're going to be at double loss right here. So it's going to look like that. So for losing this round right here, let's say, you're going to be given 2,400. So think about what you can do with $2,000. You can buy like a deagle, armor, maybe a smoke grenade, but that kind of round is going to be really low win percentage. So let's say you buy down on this round to $0 and you lose again. Now we're going to go into the next round with 2,400. And then our loss bonus will be on the third peg. And so now you'll be getting 2,900 for losing. If you're really stupid and you force buy again, right, then you're going to end up in the next round with 2,900 after losing, right? And so repeatedly force buying is a terrible option, obviously, because you're just going to be on terrible buys after terrible buys with very low chance of winning the next round. And so at some point, you're going to be forced to save. So let's say you decided to save here, and then you're at 2,900 into the next round. And now we're on quad loss also. So this will be 3,400. I'm not even going to write it. But the point is that if you lose this next round, because again, it's a terrible buy, now you actually have enough money to buy on this next round. But you took 4 rounds to get there. Okay, now let's do a smarter way of playing. So let's say you play the pistol and you lose it. And then now you're going to be at 2,000 here. So you're on double loss, right? So with $2,000, it makes a lot more sense to save your money, because when you're on double loss and you're going to get 2,400 on the next round, then you lose this one. Let's say you didn't really stand a chance. And now you're going to have 4,400. And this is a buy where you can actually buy things like M4 armor and nades and actually have a chance to win the next round. Obviously, you're not going to have an op, but you're going to have enough money to win. And so then you can like get a round win right here. And then now you're playing with guns on this round, and then let's say you lose. And so your money doesn't really matter here. What matters is the money that you have after this loss. And so usually, like maybe let's say like 3 people live or something, you know, or like 2 people live. Your money's not really great, but you can rebuy and you lose. You're probably close to like 1.4 thousand here, you're in a shit buy territory is what I'm trying to say. It doesn't really matter what money you have. You could have like 2,000, 2,500. You're in a shit buy on this round. So when you're in game, you have to always be checking with the scoreboard and just seeing like how much money am I going to have next round if I save or buy. And so usually since you're on a shit buy here, right, the option is always just going to be a save. So you're going to play a bad round. Let's say you have like 2,000 here. You're going to play a bad round, you're going to lose, but then on this next round, you're going to have enough money to buy. Let's say you were able to save enough money and you have like 5K. And now this round is way more winnable. Now you can get a W. But you see how this pattern is completely different from this pattern? On the force buy example, you're just forcing and having awful rounds over and over again. But on this example, you're having good win percentage rounds with the 5K and the 4.4K, right? Instead of just having, shit buys over and over again. So what'll happen in game is a lot of the times the CT economy will get reset to where you're on a really bad buy and you have terrible money. And let me erase all this so I can go back and talk about the reset economy. Okay, so here's the deal. So like you'll win a round, you'll lose one, you'll maybe win one, you'll win another one, but like both of these rounds, maybe you like defuse the bomb and like only one person lived on both of these, and then you lose a round right here, okay? And so now you're on a single loss and you have like 1.4 thousand because everybody had to rebuy on this round and then you lose, you get wiped. And so now you're on like a terrible buy, right? And you're on single loss, which means you're gonna get 1.9 thousand for losing. And so if you didn't buy anything on this round, this is a different example from the other one, where since you had 2,000 plus the second loss, you could actually rebuy, but this is slightly different. Now, if you play into the next round without buying anything, you're going to have like 3.3 or like 3.2 thousand, depending on how much money you started this round with. And so now, if you lose this round, right, and you didn't buy anything, since you had $0 and you lost this round, and now you're coming in with 1.4, the max amount of money you're going to have is like 3.3 thousand, right? Maybe a little bit more. Some people have like 1,700 coming into this round, but it doesn't matter. Again, if we think about 3.3 thousand, it's not enough to buy anything meaningful, right? You can't even buy M4 armor. You can only buy like MP9 armor. And this kind of round is super low win percentage compared to a full gun round. And so if we back up here, what's going to happen in this round is called a double force. And so the point of this round is that since on this round, even if you lose the round and get the full loss, you're going to have a terrible buy on this next round. So you might as well force down to 0 on this round. Because although it's a low percentage win type of round, you can get something going with deagles, right? You can get something going with like a 5-7. So there's no point to not force buy here. And the only reason you wouldn't buy down to 0 is if you're trying to save for an op later, which is also valid. You can just say, guys, double force, I'm going to full save. So let's say, again, you lose this round, you bought down to 0. And then you go up into the next one, and now you have 1.9K. And so 1.9K is right around 2,000. This is like the minimum threshold for when you're on second loss, because remember, now we get 2,400. So now you're going to full eco. You're going to not buy anything. You're just going to have USPs. And so now you're going to play this round with full USPs. You're probably going to lose it again. But then you come into the next round and you're going to have like 4.3 thousand. And this is why people beg for like an economy change or like complain about why the CT economy is so hard, because when you get reset mid-half like this, it's really punishing because the other team basically gets 2 free rounds against pistols, But then now that we have this higher win percentage round, we can actually win. And so those are really the only 2 patterns of CT economy that you have to worry about in the general sense. I'm going to talk about like exceptions to this rule at the very end, but those exceptions are exceptions that prove the rule that I'm talking about here. Okay, so T-side economy is much more simple. So what's going to happen on T-side is that you can go through these like win, loss, win, win with like 1 alive, just like the other example, and then lose, and then be reset down to 0. But the thing is that the weapons on T-side are cheaper. The AK-47 is cheaper and is much better than the M4s. And Galil is just as valid to buy Galil armor full nades. And so like before, you're going to end this round with like 1.4K, right? With the single loss. So you're going to be here at 1,900. And so, I'm on my like organic chemistry tutor type shit, guys, with this. So just bear with me. Okay, so let's say you full save on this round, right? Okay, so let's say you're going to have like the same pattern, right? Where you have to like double force. So this round, you're going to buy down to 0. You lose it, go up to the next, you're going to have like 3.3. So at this point in the game, now we're on double loss. And so we're going to get 2,400 for this value, right? If I buy down to 2,000 here, right? Let me lose. You go into the next round, we have 4.4 thousand. Now this is a real buy and you have a chance to win. So since we force bought on this round, we're on this like pattern now where we're going to have money here. But what you have to remember is that if you lose repeatedly on T side, let's say you buy down to 0 and you lose here And I'm going to shift everything over to the left here because the half isn't over yet. The thing about Tside economy is that you can just go back to back, save, buy, save, buy, save, buy. You don't have to do like weird double forces. You don't have to worry about all that stuff. Once you get to this point, you can almost buy every round. It comes close, but let's say you're like getting the bomb plant, getting a lot of kills, you can force buy things that you wouldn't do on CT side. So now we're on 2.9 thousand into this round, and since we've lost these last 3, we're gonna be on the 4th loss bonus tick right here. And again, that's 3,400 for losing this round. And so now we can even buy down to like 1.4 thousand. And with 3,400 coming into the bank, even if we lose this, going into the next one, we're gonna have like 4.7 thousand. And this is a round that's like really good for the Ts. Because you can buy AK head armor, like almost full nades, right? And even though you're losing over and over again, you have a really, really good buy. And a lot of the times if the game is competitive, like even though you're like losing a bunch of rounds in a row, and you know, maybe the CTs are only living with like 1 alive or like 2 alive, their money's like really bad, you know? They have to rebuy every single round. So one of these rounds could just be a W. But even if it's not, right? And you buy down to 0, and then you go into the next round, you're gonna have 3,400 here after losing, right? You see here that if I highlight these with green, it's save, buy, save, and then the next one's gonna be a buy, right? Versus like I said, on CT side, if you're constantly getting like money fucked and reset, you know, the rounds are much harder to play, especially when you get reset mid-game, you know? You really don't have a chance for another 2 rounds. Okay, so the last thing I'll talk about here are edge cases in economy. So sometimes force buying repeatedly is actually a really good option on T side, and it only really happens at the very start of the game. I had an old IGL called this the force buy wars, and it's because if you play the pistol on T side and you lose, right? But you get the bomb planted and you get a bunch of kills. The other team is only gonna have like 3,400, maybe 3,900, enough to buy like M4 armor, no nades, or like MP9. So the CD side has a really rough start at the beginning, but the T side has better guns, and you know, they can whip up a play that wins them the round almost immediately, right? You know, you can have like a hero play with like a Galil or like a dropped AK. And so it's really important that you plant the bomb on these rounds, and then you'll see this pattern happen in your games where it's actually really good to just keep force buying for the first 3 rounds. And so you're gonna come into this next round with like 1.9 thousand, right? But let's say you got the bomb plant and like 3 kills on one person. You could very easily buy like Galil, Mac 10, armor, all that stuff. You know, and let's say you plant again. And you're coming into this next round and you're gonna have like 3.3 thousand because of all the kills and stuff that you got. You can actually justify force buying on this round even though you shouldn't have based on our other rules. Because these rounds, remember, this is like I said before, these are good win percentage rounds. These are not bad win percentage rounds, you know? Since you have all this money and the other team has such a bad buy, the game has shifted from just being like full gun strike versus full gun strike to like this kind of weird low money kind of scuffed rounds, and this is a really good time to force buy. Last thing I'll say about economy is that if your teammates have enough money to drop you, like one of them will have like $8,000, you know, and you don't have a good buy, or like 2 of your teammates don't have a good buy, that is still a decent round win percentage if, you know, 4 out of 5 people on CT or T side can have a buy versus like, let's say you chose to save on a round where, you know, you could have had 4 guns. That round you're just kind of throwing away, even though, you know, you maybe have like a 45, 50% win rate. That's like pretty good on that kind of round, you know? And then when I watch some of the other YouTube guides and like see what other people are saying about economy, they're always talking about like what to buy. What should I buy the MP9? There's like 5 guns in the game that you should be buying. You should literally only be buying these guns, okay? The M4A4, M4A1S, AWP, MP9, Galil, Mac 10, AK. You know, maybe some of those other rifles like FAMAS if you're really broke, or like the AUG. Never buy the Krieg. And then the other shotguns and everything, like, they're just gimmicks. Like, there's really not much else to be said about that. You really want to buy whatever you can with the money that you have if you're on a full gun round. And, you know, maybe use, for some whatever reason, you, like, tilt bought a Deagle, and, you know, you can't afford a full M4. FAMAS will do. But there's really not much else to be said. And a lot of other guides go in depth on, like, you know, what money do you get per weapon kill? And, like, I literally don't think about that, ever. Like, it's not something that crosses my mind. You know, it's like a good bonus that like the MP9 will get like more money for getting kills, but like at the end of the day, you're gonna have the amount of money that you're gonna have at the start of the next round. You know, there's not much to really think about. Like, I'm gonna go, if I get $900 on this round, like, it doesn't happen, okay? No one is really thinking about that. What you'll find is that you'll get really good at noticing the same patterns over and over again in your games, that you know exactly what gun you're gonna buy like with that amount of money because you've done it 100 times before, okay? it basically doesn't change. Okay, so I didn't intend for this to be more of like a lecture style video, but hopefully you found it educational and helpful, because a few people I've coached so far have just completely not known how to manage their economy properly. And if they did, you know, there wouldn't be rounds that I see in people's demos that I review, because the round like wouldn't even happen that way if they properly manage their economy. So, and yeah, guys, that's all I have for you in today's video. Just a reminder, I'm offering one-on-one coaching. It is much cheaper than other options, and it's very personalized. I work on your schedule. And so if you DM me on Twitter, we'll get it set up, and it'll be a good time for both of us, okay? If you liked this video or had any other questions, just leave them in the comments below. I read every single comment that I get, so I really enjoy reading what you guys have to say, and the positivity has been really great, so keep it coming, guys. And yeah, I'll see you in the next video. Peace.